All right, everyone, welcome to Hack Shack Studios. RT Bear here, and we got a doozy for you today. We're going to do a hacks chat. You got to slow down when you say that. With Commie Mark, and Commie Mark is, as the old people, I wouldn't know. They say a hoot. He is a hoot. So he's backstage right now. He's spiking his coffee. He said he needs to get he needs to get a little energy, and he needs to get a little inebriated to deal with me. Apparently, I'm a handful. But yeah, he's got the Krishna Kid, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. It's going to be a rockin' show. Yeah, so just as always, you guys, show me a sign of life in the chat. It always helps me to know that I pulled all the right levers and pushed all the right buttons. I am a boomer. Oh, hell yeah. Look at this. Look at this. We got Robert Romano. Hey, Art. Oh, we got Past Master Dan. Ahoy, chat. We got Auntie Entity. Very, very good. Yes, hit that damn like button. Give me a thumbs up because you know what? Commie Mark's going to need all the help he can get. He's already getting himself all juiced up for the show. So I'm going to give him a couple seconds. Get some coffee in him, and I think he's spiking it with some Baileys. So I can't drink right now, man. I got these pain meds, and they have all these conditions. Like if I do this, that, or the other thing, I could die. I like new medication comes with like a whole list of like what you can't do. So yeah, so I'm not going to tempt fate. Otherwise, I'd be drinking some coffee with Bailey's as well with our guest, Commie Mark. So Sheldon Martin, hey, Art, quick question. What details do you need on a business card? Well, one, you need your name, probably what you do on the business card, and some kind of contact. Some people put all their social media on their cards. So you could do that, but have a main contact, whether it's your email or a phone number. Phone numbers used to be the thing, but now we have the internet. So you might want to do that. So I hope that answers that question. Sheldon Martin said, just smoke weed, LOL. I don't do that anymore. I don't even know if I can handle it. Subscribe to Commie Mark here on YouTube. Yes, you guys. So click that link. Go give Commie Mark a sub. Well, without further ado, I am going to bring the man, the myth, the commie into this live stream. So let's pollute this place with some commie rhetoric. There he is. Look at it. His back's turned. Hello. Just like a commie, back turned to the American. Yeah. So how you doing, man?
I'm good, thank you. Yeah, I'm very good, actually. Enjoying a nice day off work. Like, I'm able to juice up my coffees today. As we were saying, obviously, I can't do that at Mega Evil Corporation. So, yeah, I'm doing good, thank you. How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Like I said, it's a little celebratory this morning here at the T-Bear house. So my wife is getting her retirement funds coming in now. So she's a wee bit older than I, so she is retirement age. So she's getting her government money. So we went out to celebrate for a nice breakfast, and so that's why I'm a little late, because I told Mark that we would go live at 10, and now it's 10. Well, it's 10:40. So I appreciate you hanging in there, brother.
That's all right.
Yeah. So what have you been up to, man?
In general, like right now I'm working on this Krishna Kid thing, like pushing it as hard as I can, taking every opportunity to come speak to every person that I can about it. And it's a great time for me to like reflect a little bit. Like I could never have imagined just 4 years ago that we'd be here talking to you like about this comic that I'd made. I mean, obviously I could imagine that. My imagination is limitless, but it would be unrealistic. And it like it's one of the great things about comics game and this community and stuff, that things like this can happen. Like that, you know, I'm just a random nobody from England, and you know who I am. Like that blows my mind. Like
I thought you were in the Soviet Union. Wait a minute. So you're a commie in London, in
Well,
England?
in England, yeah, I live in Birmingham, the second biggest city, like the most industrialized one. We made like all the guns that we used for colonization, like around the world, like all that good stuff.
Oh, cool. I remember a punk rock song. It was like there once was a girl from Birmingham. She just had an abortion. And then it goes on. I can't even remember the band's name. I was always like, oh, okay, Birmingham. That's the only reason I know where you live, because that's the only reference I've ever heard to Birmingham. So it's very industrial. You guys are
Well,
like
it was
weapons
very
smokers.
it was very industrial. Like it's
Oh,
the
okay.
home of the Industrial Revolution. Like it's literally where it started in my city. Like, but like everywhere else in the Western world, we've exported industrialization to the third world. You know how we send those factory jobs away to uh, depower the unions and take power away from people, the people who make the stuff, who can say society stops today because we're stopping making the transistors or whatever it is that they're making. You know what I mean? It's commonplace around the world, and it that
Well, the
those.
big deal was like years back was like there was Allentown, Pennsylvania, and they were steel mills, and they supplied all the steel, and then they decided that they were going to close up all those factories. So I imagine just like here, or just like where you're at here, is like there are towns and there are businesses and things that center around an industry, and then once that industry closes, then basically things become ghost towns, and it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, that certainly happened here. Like the north of the country, like is far worse hit than my city. Like those areas have been completely stripped. Like but whatever, that's fun, isn't it?
Well, the thing is, if you guys ever want to start building weapons and guns again, I live in Texas now, and there's freedom here, and you can just start sending those guns to me.
Oh, we just send them to Saudi Arabia so they can kill Yemenis or whatever.
Oh yeah, just start shit there. Yeah. Well, I want to start shit here. I also heard that we have alligators here. There's a community called Conroe. It's not too far from my house, and there's water all around where I live, and we have alligators, dude. So I want to get something portable that when I go walking with my wife, if an alligator comes up, I can just pop him real quick. Go
Yeah,
back to where you came, and just shoot them.
one of the advantages that we have, like being a small island that's been populated for 5,000 years or whatever, is that we've killed all the predators. Like on our island, we have no snakes, no bears, no wolves, nothing like that in it. Like which is
If
kind
I
of
had
nice.
my way, I would just go on hunting expeditions. We have what do we have? We have copperheads. We have water moccasins. We have all kinds of really deadly snakes here, and they get into the property. And so I'm pretty good with the shovel. But man, I think they call it snake shot. You can get into some of these pistols, and they're like little shotgun shells. And
Mhm.
so you don't have to have exact aim that'll kind of shoot out, and then you can kill snakes with them. So yeah, I'm looking forward to all these things here. Just being able to kill things without any retribution. I used to live in California, so we'd get rattlesnakes on the property, and I would kill those. And I remember I killed one in front of a neighbor, and he almost cried. And I was like, I have a dog and a young daughter. These things can kill, small kids and animals. I was like, why would you want me to not kill it? And
Mhm.
it's like they're good for rodent population. I go, I have traps all around the, there's things I can put around the property that will, get rid of the rodents. I don't need a fucking rattlesnake to do that. Something that can kill my daughter.
Yeah, there is a reason why universally snakes are seen as like an evil thing, and it like because they are like
Yes. I
but
hate them all. I'll kill. I don't care. Like some people get. Oh, you killed a black racer. They're non venomous. It's like, well, tell my freaking dog. You know, they'll still bite the dog. You know, they'll still attack. You know,
your dog could still choke to death eating a snake.
knowing that the dog's RIP now, so rest in peace, Flora. But that dog probably could, because that dog was really dumb. I gave that dog a corn cob, and I thought, yes, this is summertime, Mark. I know we're all over the place, but I think this stuff's fun. Is I gave we're having a barbecue, and I thought, well, there's corn on the cob, you know, part of it's eaten. I'll just throw it to the dog instead of throwing it in the trash, right? Next thing I know, the thing is gagging on the. It tried to eat it. I thought it would just kind of bite on it, you know, like a chew toy or something, right? And just, you know, because it's kind of that sweet flavor, and that it would be a treat for this damn dog. And this dog's trying to freaking ingest a freaking corn cob. So I had to, in front of my daughter, dude, my daughter's like, oh, my dog. And so I had to run over and reach down its throat and pull out the freaking corn cob. I'm like, jeez, that dog is dumb.
Nice, yeah.
Just chew on the corn cob. So when you're not making comic books, what are you doing?
It's a cheesy answer, but the top thing that I would describe myself as is like a father or whatever. Like, you know, I have a young child and a family and stuff. Like, and being with them is my favorite thing. That's one of the things that motivates me so much. The police are coming now, obviously.
Are you kidding? What did you do, you Commie?
Yeah, so one of the things that motivates me a great deal in making these comic books is, one, that it's something that I like, but two, it's something that I can do at home. Like, and for me, that's like the perfect combination of things. And it, like, my entire ambition in life is, how can I make a situation where I can comfortably just spend time with my family in it? Like, that's ultimately what I really want to do. Getting to be funny and speak my mind and say things that I really think, like, is just a cherry on the cake, like, to that.
Well, there's a lot of people that love your YouTube channel. Your satirical humor, and it's so spot on. And I like the fact that like Comicsgate isn't just, you know, comic book guys. There's like this YouTube element to it as well. So there's this entertainment aspect to what we do. I'm not as entertaining as you are. I try, but there is like this entertainment. There's actually like kind of like a like internet celebrities. You know, there's like you. There's like Cecil. There's guys like that are just they have entertaining programs that people can watch, and that you know, every once in a while they'll dip their toes into comic books. But that's what I wanted to ask you. So you started as a YouTuber, but did you decide, like, when you went into this, did you always think in the back of your mind that you were going to start doing comic books? We're going to share your campaign too, but that you were going to do comic books?
No, so I had made my first comic book, The Adventures of Kim Il-sung and Beskar, before I'd even like stepped foot into Comicsgate.
Okay.
Like, what happened was I'd made that book, and I made that book to prove to myself that I could make a book in it. Like, up until before making that book, I was waiting for permission to make a book in it. Like, that someone was going to say, here's like some money, go and make a book for us or whatever. I didn't really think, oh, I can just make my own. So then I made my own, and then I created like a fresh Twitter account, you know, like a new account. And I was like, right, I'm going to like follow as many like comics people as I can, just to show people this book, like, and try and show off what I've done. And that's what led me into Comicsgate. The algorithm of Twitter, like, just steered me in that direction. And it's interesting because every other Twitter account that I've had, and, you know, there's a bunch, the algorithms always put me into like left-wing Twitter. You know how there's different like bubbles of Twitter or whatever. But this time, following comic book people was enough for it to be like, oh, this guy must be right-wing. or whatever, like can feed me into the right wing
Did
side.
it depend on like maybe the comic book people you were following? You think like you were following maybe more like right wing
Well,
comic book guys?
I think that feeds into it, but even when I started, like
I
I
gotta
was
back up for a minute. This is scary times, right? Like, how does Twitter know this shit? You know what I mean? Like, this is some weird crap, man. This is some
yeah,
Big
and
Brother Orwellian
it's
weird
even
stuff.
more powerful when like we're just talking about like fun comic book things, yeah, but like
Right.
if we're talking about the news, then it's really like powerful in the way that it informs people's views of the world. Like for example, like so we was just talking about a so let's say we watched a video about a factory closing down, then the YouTube algorithm would be like, oh, Archie Bear likes these videos about factories closing down.
Yep.
And then it'll start saying, oh, look at this factory in Arkansas that closed, and look at this factory in Iowa that closed. And now you're getting all these, and you're like, oh, wow, factories are closing everywhere. Like, this is a real problem, like, that we need to deal with. Like, and the algorithm, like I'm saying, it helps to paint like this version of reality that you or everyone has. You know what I mean?
That
Like,
may be real or not real. Like we I had a guy that worked at Hack Shack Studios years ago, and he moved to California from Ohio, right? And so he's like, my wife and I, we hate California. There's all this shootings and this violence and these carjacking and all this stuff. And I said, you live in Orange County. I said, this is the safest place in Southern California. I go, have you ever met any? Have you had confrontation with any of these carjackers? Have you ever been held up? Do you know anybody that's ever had this experience firsthand or any of this stuff? And he's like, no. And I said, it's not your reality. It's like, it's this made up news reality. It's not your reality. I mean, if he was talking from firsthand experience, right? Like I was carjacked and my wife was robbed at the, the supermarket or whatever, then, I can see that. But these aren't real experiences. These are like other people's experience that get exaggerated by the news. So whether it was like broadcast news or like Twitter, stuff, it's still heightened and exaggerated, and people need to take that stuff with a grain of salt. It's scary.
Yeah, so I'd made a comic book. I came to Twitter to show it to people, and I'd been working on Not Daredevil, and the first two people that I followed were Eric Larson and Gail Simone, yeah, because
Oh shit.
they both have Daredevil related projects in it. Like, so it just made sense. Like, those are the first two.
Right.
But
And you're
then,
talking about the public domain Daredevil, right?
yeah, of
Yeah.
course, yeah, the one that I made into Not Daredevil. Yeah, so then it fed me into comics Twitter, and I was always skeptical about comics gate and nervous about going on there because I was prejudiced like by the gate suffix like at the end of the word, because
Right.
that means something like and then eventually like I came in and I started talking to people and I was like, oh, this isn't what is being presented, that I'd fallen for the mainstream media lie or whatever. And now here I am, like I firmly plunked my Soviet flag into the turf, and I was like, I'm here now, like, and here I am.
Well, I'm going to tell everybody I hung out with a commie today, so I'm going to you're going to make all my conversation for the day. It's like, yeah, I hung out for an hour with a commie. he's
You know,
fully into the whole way of life and everything. He's got a big flag behind him.
I you are actually featured on the back of one of my comic books. Like, I think I have one. No.
I think it's all propaganda. It's all
Oh yeah, look.
propaganda.
See, here's a picture of you, like, on the back.
Oh shit! Oh, that's right. Because I said something right, and then you're like, I'm gonna use that as a or can I? You actually were polite. You asked me if you could use it. Yeah, I said sure, man. That picture has been used for everything. That one letter, I'm just kind of like,
Oh, in fact, I last week on my show, we had Andy Smith on, and there's a app that it takes a person's photo and then finds the classical painting that looks the most like you. And I tried to put loads of Comicsgate people in to make a whole show of it,
oh
guess
shit,
who
that'd be
this is from
hilarious.
the
Yeah.
painting. But the majority of them were awful. The one of me was incredible. They weirded me out for 2 days or whatever, that it was so spot on. But the second best one was of you. So I'm gonna try and
Oh, that'd be
do that
great.
now, so
Yeah.
I can show you that on the show.
Okay, while you're doing that, I'm gonna get the Krishna Kid up, and so I want to give people a reference, and then we'll come back to that, and then we'll probably close out the show with some more Krishna Kid, because
Sounds good to me.
I want to give people a dose of this. So this is the Krishna Kid. This is Commie Mark's new crowdfunder, and wow, only 10 days so far, 6,235.
Oh, I wish that was true. We're on day 40. We're in
Oh,
the
this is
second
your second
30
month?
days already. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, well, we got some heavy lifting to do. This number should be doubled. So let's double this number today. Let's get 12,470 or whatever that would be if we doubled it. And yeah, I really like the designs. These designs are really cool. They're a lot of fun. So you're the creator, writer. Are you the artist as well, or?
No, so the artist for the book is a guy from India that I found. Yeah, so the artist from India, his name's Vinit Kumar. He did all the interiors. That cover and a lot of the concept designs was done by a previous artist, who was employed on the project, and he did 20 pages of issue 1, with just 2 left to go.
I'll go around this shop here by our house.
Okay. My son is here now. He's gone. Okay, so yeah, there was another artist on the campaign, but he Willised me, and with just a couple of pages left to go, I never heard from him again. So I went and I found Vinny, and I got him to make the project. And in that time, 7-month period when I was waiting for the 2 pages, we was 2 pages away from having a complete issue. In that time, I was really sad and depressed about it. So I wrote a whole second book, in the same universe, that's this dark and twisted tragedy about the destruction of a woman's soul or whatever. And that made me feel a lot better. So he drew that book, which is here, that's finished, already done, ready to go. And when he completed that, I was like, bro, you're promoted, you got the big Krishna Kid job, and now he's drawing the whole book.
So this looks like different artists. So you have this guy who was the original artist. Is that right?
Yeah, he did the concept art, and he drew most of issue 1, and then he's just started blanking me. I sent him a message on Christmas Day, saying, Merry Christmas, because I knew that I would remember that I spoke to him on Christmas Day because it's Christmas Day. And then he just never replied. So all of the work that we had done, I essentially threw in the bin, and had to start again from very near the beginning. I mean, we already had the character designs nailed down, which are perfect, exactly what I wanted.
It not only sucks because of the time element, but the money too, because you've already paid these guys, to do the artwork, and then they stiff you. And then there's not a whole lot you can do unless you want to, do that where you have multiple artists, working on the same story.
Mhm.
So yeah,
And
it's not a good look. It's not cool.
The guy lives in Indonesia, so it's not even like I can just go and knock on his door and be like, "Where's my pages, bro?" Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it would cost me a fortune just to do that.
It would be
But-
funny though if you did.
Oh, it would be great, wouldn't it? But I haven't had any problems like that with Vinny. Like I said, he drew an
Okay,
entire
so
book
this
for
isn't Vinny's
audition.
art. I'm trying to get a handle on this. So is this Vinny's art
Yeah,
here?
that's his. That is, yeah.
Yeah, this
Like,
is really good. Yeah. And so
yeah,
then
right.
this looks like it's in a different style as well, or is this Vinny as well?
No, that's him. That's his pages as well. Yeah.
Okay.
So and then we have a whole bunch of covers by other artists as well. By Matt Barr and Billy Basco. They've done 4 wraparound covers like on this campaign, which are all beautiful as well. That's Vinny's
Oh
stuff
shit,
too.
look at that. That's awesome, man.
Uh-huh. It's really great, right?
That'd be a hard character to draw with the 3 faces on one head.
Well, he actually has 4 faces.
Oh, one in the back
There's
too.
one on the back as well, yeah. And it's interesting. I don't know if you've ever drawn characters who
I
have
get to move to an upside down house.
You can move to an upside down house. That's fascinating.
I live in an upside down house.
Yeah, because when characters have 4 arms, like it's awkward, like on where you put those arms, like which
Yeah,
ones.
sometimes they get in the way. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's quite a challenge for him to.
I have a 4-armed robot in black and white right now. So what I did purposefully is because I knew that it's problematic. Is if all 4 arms of the same mass, is I made the 2 extra arms smaller and completely structurally different. You know what I mean? So they don't kind of conflict with each other. But when you have like 4 arms that are all the same mass and size, it's really difficult, man.
One of the images that I had in my mind when I came up with this was imagine like 2 4-armed gods sword fighting with 8 swords. Like that sequence could look incredible in it. Like just one of the many things that we'll get to do in the future of this universe.
Right. Hey, Mark. This is a dated reference, but these days you can get just about everything. I know you're a lot younger, but you remember those old Harryhausen Sinbad adventure movies?
Yeah, loosely, sure.
Yeah, well, do yourself a favor today. Treat yourself and look at some of that stuff, because I'm getting this killer Sinbad vibe from a lot of the stuff I've seen that you've done. So, and I love that stuff as a kid. Like with all these fantastic characters, like 4 arms and 4 heads, 4 faces. And then the lead character, the Krishna kid. I assume the blue skin, that's the Krishna kid, right?
Yeah, that's Krishna. So in Hinduism, like it's all based on actual Hindu texts, like this story. There's like 3 main gods at the top, like their version of the Trinity or whatever, which is Brahma, which is that one with the 4 faces. Then there's Vishnu and Shiva, the destroyer. And Krishna is actually Vishnu on earth, like in human form. So it's like the top god, like the number 1 dude, comes down in a human avatar to, balance good and evil on the earth. But obviously he has to grow up, and he starts off as a child, like, and he goes on all these adventures, like fighting demons. There he is stealing the women's clothes, like while they're swimming in the river, like,
Oh yeah.
because he's a cheeky boy, like he's a notorious butter thief. Like he grows up to become like a world-renowned lover, kind of a thing. Like he's a real character who always stood out to me as the most interesting in all of the religious texts that I've read.
Yeah, I dig this. This is cool.
That's his older brother, Balrama, and I often compare Balrama to being like Jeff Christ. Like, imagine that you're just like a normal kid or whatever, and then one day your parents come home and they're like, "Oh, by the way, we've adopted a magical super baby Jesus. Like, he's your little brother. Like, you have to look after him and make sure that he doesn't get into trouble." And then, he spends his whole life trying to get out of the shadow of his little brother, but trying to prove himself. Yeah, you didn't understand. That's the type of character that guy is. He's, for me, the most interesting character in the series.
That's cool. Yeah, I like this. This is cool. And that's got to be a pain too, because you have to draw all these characters without shoes, so feet are hard to draw.
Yeah, that
They're all barefoot.
And I put so much effort into making every character like distinguishable from each other, like because at the end of Krishna Kid, in the long 40 years down the line in story, like there's this big civil war between all the kingdoms of India at the time, and all of them have their own heroes and their own gods, like, and some demi demons and all of this kind of stuff. And there's a big like Infinity War type thing at the end where they're all like on the battlefield fighting, and it was really important to me that every character is like obvious, like, and will stand out, like in that giant image of hundreds of guys fighting, so much so that even like the different kingdoms of India, like I had them designed by different artists, so that each kingdom would feel like it had its own culture, like, and wasn't just doing, oh, we'll do a version of that other kingdom, but we'll give them black hats instead of blue hats or whatever. Like, so they're all like really different. And this is the first of the 4 wraparound covers. This is for Krishna Kid issue 1.
Well, I want to ask you, just since it's centered on the Krishna Kid, what are his powers and abilities, and kind of what is his basic storyline? I know you probably don't want to give away too much, but what is, like, give people a kind of a point of reference of what this character is about.
Okay, so he is like the supreme personality of Godhead, like the number 1 god on Earth in a human form. So he has like the powers to do basically anything. Like, he's super strong. There's a famous story where he lifts up a mountain with 1 finger for people to hide underneath while they're being attacked by a like rain god kind of thing. There's one where he plants pearls in the ground and pearl trees grow. Like, he basically has no limit to what he can do. Like, he's almost a Mary Sue character in a way.
He can defy nature.
Yeah. In fact, having this discussion with Billy on this image about coloring the shading, like in the creases of the clothes, he was saying, like, I know that he could make light come out of the creases of his clothes, like it could be. So the answer to your question is, he's come to Earth to like bring balance between good and evil. There's a prophecy that he's going to kill this one king, King Kanza, who has his parents captive in the basement. Like, the king heard a prophecy that his sister's 8th child was going to kill him. So he locked her in the dungeon, and every time that she gave birth, like, he smashed the baby against the walls of the dungeon, like, to kill them so that they couldn't kill him. And then, thanks to like some magical interference by the gods or whatever, Krishna managed to get out and be adopted by some like local farmers in a John and Martha Kent kind of a way. And so Krishna Kid follows the story of that this king knows that Krishna is going to kill him, and he keeps sending like demons after him every week to like try and kill him. And the king's training like for their ultimate showdown that will happen at the end of the series before Krishna Kid becomes Krishna Man or whatever. So yeah, he's strong.
That's a pretty big burden as just a kid, like, this very powerful guy is trying to kill you, and then your destiny is kind of to get to a place where you can kill him, or take him down. Yeah.
And then then it's a case of restoring like the crown to his parents, and he goes on to become a king, like, and he gets his own city, like, and it's all building to this epic civil war thing that happens at the end. It's the story that Grant Morrison made 18 Days out of. That is like a book that he did that's just about the war at the end, like, and it's kind of cool, but it's not like the vision that I had with all these people flying around, like throwing energy beams at each other, and using god weapons and all this cool stuff.
Yeah, this is some epic stuff. So it sounds like you can't contain this in one story. So is it going to be kind of like Sinbad, where there's like these adventures, but they're self-contained, and then he'll go on to the next adventure, but with an ultimate like story arc in mind, which would be, I guess, kill this king?
Yeah. So you've nailed it. So the plan is that there's going to be 12 issues of Krishna Kid that's broken up into 4 sagas. The first one being this one, the Eye of Brahma Saga. So Krishna isn't going to fight King Kansa in this story. This story is about what there's the king. So while Vishnu's on Earth, like the 3 gods, the creator, the preserver, and the destroyer, are like out of balance. And in the heavens, they're worried that Shiva, the destroyer, is going to destroy the world now, while essentially God's on holiday or whatever. And there's a big power struggle over who's in charge, like when the number one god isn't like around. So he ends up in this conflict with Brahma, like one of the other main gods. So this saga is about that particular story, but it'll progress forwards a little bit in the Krishna versus Kansa, who's going to win.
I have to do this. You see that? That's the dog. So that's not me heavy breathing. I just had to show it. So if you guys heard this heavy breathing, that it's not me. Where is he? I don't trust him. Hey, get out of that garbage. Sorry about that. I just wanted to let people know if they heard like heavy breathing, it wasn't coming from me. But let's go back. Let's go back to the campaign.
There's a comment in the chat. Mr. Dunk says he should have made her sister close her legs. And that's the thing that I always thought was weird, that the king knew that his sister's 8th child was going to kill him. So why did he lock her up in the same prison cell with her husband? Like, just separate them? Like, you can't get... She got pregnant 8 times in prison. Like, after the first one, you'd be like, oh, maybe we should put them in different rooms. Like, it seems absurd to me.
Yeah, but you know what? Then you wouldn't have a story.
Mm-hmm.
Or you'd have a different story.
A lot people are digging the mustache in the chat as well, like on the king.
Well, I like too, when you look at this and then you look at the Krishna Kid and you're like, how the hell is that kid going to take this dude down? Look at that dude. He's a badass.
That is exactly one of the things that was really important when we was designing the king and all the villains, in that that Krishna is like the greatest, most powerful being to ever walk the universe or whatever. So every time that he shows down with someone, there has to be an element of believability that Krishna might not win in it. Like, so we'll put a lot of thought into that in all the designs. Like, just in this case, we gave him like this metal arm thing, because I have this, like, he could fit Krishna's whole head in his hand in it. Like, I think that's like a dominating image. Like, you know what I'm saying? The bad guys have to look like they can actually win in it, or
Well, your heroes are only as good as your villains. So if your villain is really really strong, and if you as a reader ask yourself the question like, how is that hero going to take this guy down? That's exactly what you want. You know what I mean? Because that's when you, as you're reading, that's when you get invested, and you're just thinking like, this is impossible. You know, this is going to be epic. How's he going to do it? And another thing about the Krishna kid is that, you know, you're kind of in a little bit of a Superman situation. And I worked on Superman for a lot of years, and a lot of the conversations that would come up is like, how do you make a really powerful character relatable? You know, so if that kid, you know, has, you know, the powers of a god, you know, how do you make him relatable and vulnerable? You know, like there has to be something about this kid that is vulnerable. Otherwise, if he's all powerful and there's no challenge, then you know what I mean. It's like, why even get invested?
Yeah,
Why read
totally.
it?
Totally. And the answer to that question is that you do it through the other characters in it. Like, so, you know, and I was saying about his brother, Balrama, like, so Balrama has like mixed feelings about his little brother. You know, obviously, like, he loves him and he respects like what he's doing, but he wants to be equal to him or even more powerful than him. Like, so there's a sort of animosity almost like at times between them, like and Balrama constantly gets the gang into trouble with his headstrong, like I can prove myself, I'm as good as Krishna kind of attitude. And then it's like, how does Krishna react to that? Like, he might have the powers of a god, but now, like, while he's on Earth, he's experiencing what it means to be a human. Like, and you know that even though he can make fire come out of the ground if he wants or whatever, he can't force someone to change their mind, like with their feelings or whatever. Like, I think that's what makes it interesting, like the challenges of dealing with regular humans, like while being
Super.
like Superman.
Yeah, like I always think like Superman works best when he's faced with decisions that are very human. Like one of my favorites is, you know, when Jonathan Kent dies, he has a heart attack, and with all, you know, Clark's powers, all his abilities, he can't prevent it. You know what I mean? Like it still happens, and he can't do anything about it. So those are great humbling stories, because then you realize that, you know, he can feel pain, he is vulnerable, and he is a Superman, but he's not, you know, he's not all powerful. There are things that are out of his control. And then one of my favorites was, it wasn't even in the comic book, it was the old not Christopher Reeves, what was the George Reeves stuff, the TV show, where he's at one of those outdoor cafe type things, you know, he's having food on the street there as Clark Kent, and he hears somebody that needs help, you know, because he's got the super hearing. So he's getting ready to go help that guy, and then he hears another one, you know, like he hears two things happening at the same time, and they're in different parts of the city. And so he's faced with the decision, how do I save both of these people at the same time? You know what I mean? Like those are great ideas for superpowered people, because there still are limitations to what they can do. And by bringing those up, then it's like that's their Achilles heel. That's their weakness. You know, I mean, he has the obvious kryptonite, but that really isn't the weakness. The weakness is that there's still human limitations to what he can do. And I think for superpowered characters like the Krishna Kid and stuff, I think that would be the when I write, I look at like these are like challenges. Like when you find these things, like oh well, how do I make a superpowered character like this, like a god type character, interesting and relatable? Those for me are, that's the fun of writing. You know what I mean? Like asking yourself those questions and then trying to come up with the answers. And I think more often than not, people don't even, they don't ask themselves these questions, and then they don't rise to the challenges of how to answer them. A lot of times they just change the rules, like you see that in comics all the time. They'll just change the powers, or they'll change the rules. And I don't think that's the interesting part. The interesting part is like when you're faced with one of those, like, how do I fix this, or how does this work, or how can I make this work? That's the fun part of writing, is that challenge of, well, how do I do this?
You're reminding me of a phenomenon that happens in every X-Men movie, where the writers, like you can tell the first thing that they've decided is like, okay, how do we nerf Charles Xavier for this movie? Because he could come in and solve every X-Men movie ever with like his mind powers, and then just like delete people's memories and all this kind of stuff that's established that he can do. So rather than trying to come up with some actual challenge, they're just like, we'll put him in a coma, or he's lost his powers or something, and it rather than rising to the challenges,
right? And that's for me, that's when you really have something. So let's say, okay, you pointed that out. Okay, Xavier's this really powerful person. Well, what do? Oh, well, you nerf, like you said, you nerf his powers. No, that's not what you do. You make a villain worthy of that. You make a foe that can kick that powerful dude's ass. And when you do that, then you have a great villain, and you have a great challenge between these two characters. And people used to know this, but they don't do it anymore. Like, make the villain better. You know what I mean? That's always the answer. The answer, like, because I used to had these Superman summits, right, Mark? Like, we would go and then we plot out the year's worth of stories and everything. And so then they were like, Superman isn't contemporary. Superman isn't relatable. Superman isn't this. Superman isn't that. And my whole thing was like, Superman is freaking awesome. He can do all these things. People like the visual aspects of this guy, like a crippled plane. A plane gets hit by lightning and he flies out, and catches this thing and then lands it. Who could do that? This guy can do that. That's still a great visual. And I don't care how old you are or how many times you've seen that. It's still a great visual. Or, or stopping a building from collapsing on a bunch of people. Like, those are still badass things. So I said, that's one, but make your villain worthy. And then they said, well, he's not contemporary. And I said, well, you could make the world contemporary by making your villain contemporary. You know what I mean? Don't change Superman. Superman's who he is, right? Make his values always prevail, like more traditional, whatever values, but make your villain relatable. Make them contemporary. You can make your hero or that universe contemporary by just bringing those new elements into the villain. So you don't have to change the hero, but they're always obsessed with changing the hero. Change the villain. The hero will change. The whole story will change just by that, because usually villains drive the story, right? The villains are always the ones that drive the plot. So if they're that important to the story, then put the emphasis on those characters. You know what I mean? Make those characters, one, relevant, so you can make all these older concepts relevant just by a more contemporary villain. And then two, show, well, everybody's going to read it and it's going to feel contemporary, and then show how like a more traditional character like Superman battles this cynicism or this more contemporary way of thinking or this contemporary villain. And then all of a sudden you have a contemporary story and you haven't compromised your main character at all. You know what I mean? And I always thought the key is always in the villain. It's not in the hero. Everybody puts the emphasis on the hero, but it's not. It's on the villain,
Yeah, you're totally right when you say that the hero is only as good as his best villain or whatever. Like that they should have some kind of well, like you were saying there, if the problem is that Superman doesn't really fit into modern times or whatever, like make that the story, and make the villain a reflection of that. Like
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what I would do.
Yeah.
See
Well, you
what
get it. They
Batman-
did. They did. You get it. They did. They were like, let's give Superman a mullet. Let's depower him. Let's do all this other stuff. I said his real weakness is humanity. His real weakness is his love for a fellow man. So, when you have a villain that uses that, figures that out, and then uses that against him, that is a dick move. You know what I mean? Like that is relatable. Where you have a villain that's willing to take innocent people and put them in harm's way to compromise the hero. I think these are universal stories. I think people can relate to it. And also, if you're like with the Krishna kid, I'm sure that he's probably helping a lot of innocents along the way, helping people, stuff like that. And then by doing these ideas we're talking about, then the hero does get to rise and be the people's hero. You know what I mean? He gets to help the people along the way when the villain is taking that out on the innocents, and because like a lot of these movies, they have these and even comics, they have these big epic adventures, and it's basically just a hero villain battle. Well, what are they battling? They're just battling each other, like WrestleMania, but there's no stakes, and there's nobody that they're really saving. So also when you show devastation, like New York City being crumbled in this epic battle, well, what about all these innocent people? So I do think that your villain needs to always take it out on the innocents, because then the hero gets to be the people's hero. He gets to be the savior.
Yeah. In at the end of the Krishna stuff that I'm doing, when we have this big civil war or whatever, it lasts for 18 days, and every day these big characters fall and die and stuff in it. And when so every time that someone dies, you're supposed to, as the reader, be like, oh my god, that guy just had to kill his master, and oh, that guy just had to kill his uncle or his little brother or whatever. And every death is supposed to be really impactful and powerful, because you understand the history and the interconnectedness of all of the characters. And that's one of the reasons why we've gone all the way back to the start, to tell the story from the beginning, so that those deaths will be really powerful when they happen. Because Grant Morrison did his version, and it just tells the 18 days. So occasionally, it'll be like, here's a character, throw him in, oh, he's dead, get him out. You don't have that relationship with every character that I'm trying to put into the Krishna verse or whatever.
Yeah, but that's important. And also I think your best villains work when it's personal with the hero. Somehow there's some kind of connectivity between the two characters. What usually works the best is when they're the flip side of the same coin, where you have Batman and the Joker, where you have, Batman's Law and Order and the Joker is anarchy and chaos. You know what I mean? That's as opposite as you can get. So then you try to make it personal, and like in the first movie, the Keaton movie, where they had the Joker kill his parents. Well, that's a quick, it's a 2-hour adventure, right? I mean, that's hard storytelling. You know what I mean? You're very limited. So if you're going to use an economy of storytelling, that's the best way to do it. And that's why I never minded the fact that the Joker in that movie kills Bruce Wayne's parents, because for a 2-hour narrative, it completely works.
Especially when this is before the age of franchise movies and stuff, and it would have been expected to be a one and done, try and just tell the entire story of Batman in
2 hours. Yeah, you have one shot at this. Exactly. And so things like that, I understand. And for the most part, it worked, even though they didn't really play it up too much, because if you think about, from a creative standpoint, there's so much they could have done because that's really personal. You know what I mean? Like the whole reason Bruce Wayne's Batman is because what the Joker did. And then they just kind of played it off as a joke where it's like, I made you, you made me, you know, that type of thing. And then it didn't go any deeper than that. But like if you were to take that story and just kind of restructure it in a more serious way, holy shit, the drama and the darkness you could bring to that story would be absolutely fantastic, because it would just be about that one thing. It would be about that guy killed your parents. You know what I mean? But they kind of gloss over it in the movie. It's just kind of a quick way to tell the origin story and connect these two characters. But Bruce didn't seem like he was overly angry at this guy for killing his parents in the movie, you know?
More bothered about his girlfriend.
Yeah, there was a lot of other things happening, you know, where they were just you made me, I made you. Oh, okay. That's it. You know, we're making the connection here for the viewer. But yeah, I dig this epic stuff, Mark. I mean, I think you're not just creating, you know, a one and done great comic book, but you're actually creating a world. You have structure. You're giving it thought, and as long as each one of the stories is kind of self-contained, but with like an ongoing through line, then it's going to work. Because one of the things I learned the hard way coming into CG is coming from monthly comics, and there were some others that felt this or did the same thing. Is we thought we could keep more of a monthly type of Marvel DC schedule, and it's quite hard to do that with all the hats that we're wearing. So I think you're going in very realistically. You have a lot of stories you want to tell, but you're kind of structuring them as one and dones. And then you also have a destination, a realistic. I think what you laid out is a very realistic destination as well. Hopefully, as long as you can keep getting the support, you know, from you know, CG, and they can keep backing your project. Share the project, you guys. Get the word out. This is all guerrilla marketing, and the only reason these books can exist is because of the generosity of your time, you know, sharing out, and then also, you know, helping with the backing. And Commie Mark does a lot of entertainment on his channel for free. He doesn't ask for anything. So just go in, you know, and just back the book, you know, just to show him how much you enjoy just the content of his channel. You
And
know,
right now, every backer is crucially important, because we're still not at the fixed goal amount.
Oh shit, I didn't even see that.
So,
let me see where you're at. Go ahead, keep talking.
Yeah, so like every contribution counts. Like we're at the point now where there's 20 days left. There's still time. Like mathematically, it adds up. We're 3% ahead of schedule or whatever. But every backer brings more confidence to non-backers who are considering backing it. You know, like if we was at this percentage and there was 5 days left, I could understand people looking at it and saying, it's probably not going to make it. Like, what's the point? But right now, like, we're still ahead of where we should be. Like, and every person who, you know, backs right now is crucially important until we get over that.
So you need about 3,000, right?
Yeah, about 2.5 to 6, something like that would probably.
So that's definitely not mission impossible. But I have to also urge everybody that's listening to go to the site. The link is in my description here. I think Past Master has been putting links in the chat, so thank you. And it's not mission impossible, but also know that, you know, even that 9,000 goal, that's a third of that is shipping. You know, 10% of that goes to, you know, Indiegogo. So there's still quite a bit of overhead that Mark is paying for.
Yeah.
Not just those two things, but then there's also the printing and all the artists and stuff that he has to pay. So trust me, 9,000 is not really enough to do this. I know that we're very humble. Your campaign's very humble, but we need to get that a lot higher.
Yeah, it's for 90 pages as well. Like, it's not
Oh
just
shit.
a 48 pager or whatever. I'm
Yeah.
trying very ambitiously to fund an entire saga. Like, it's not one book. Like, I mean, if you get the collected edition, it's one book. But you know what I mean? Like, we're funding a entire saga. It's very ambitious to do that. And you say about the funding target, that's not even to break even, that's to make an acceptable loss, like an amount that I'm comfortable with putting in and getting all the where's my Krishna book comments or whatever, like
Right.
if I'd have put a target of 500 like the received wisdom or whatever, I'd make and at this point I'd probably not have the same drive to keep like hitting the pavement or whatever to try and get it over the line. Like, so we'll see. It's a
Hey, Mark, I've been there, man. Like I started on Kickstarter like years before Comicsgate, and so I had a campaign going the same time Tyler Kirkham did. He's a mainstream artist as well, and so he had a kid's book. He and his wife were trying to get going, and so I think it was a Chrono Mechanics that I was doing, and so we were both getting down to the wire, kind of not even as like we were way more desperate. Like you're still in completely acceptable. You can do this. If we can get enough people to rally. I don't want to make it sound like it's easy peasy, but it can happen. Ours was like down to days. And so we kind of made this pact. This is just weird, but this shows you how like how much belief you have and how kind of it's a weird like win or lose scenario. And sometimes it's just about acceptable loss versus like just complete loss. So with what we did with Kickstarter is that if we didn't fund, then that was it. We still had to fulfill the campaign. We still had to do everything. So what Tyler suggested to me is he said, you put the money that I need to fulfill my campaign in, and I'll do the same for your campaign. So at least we'll fulfill that minimum goal so that at least the campaign won't just die. You know what I mean? At least we'll be able to do these campaigns. And that's how much he and I believed in this campaign. But I said, no, I said, we'll be able to do this on our own. You just have to trust it and just hustle your butt off. And we both did. But, it's like you said, it's kind of becomes one of those acceptable losses versus anything that is like, I made money, and so those are always the big gambles. But having said that, I do think, we'll make this happen. Krishna Kid will be a hit. You'll make some money on it because you can also go into Indiegogo, things like that. And as soon as you start fulfilling, things kind of pick up then as well. But put the next campaign out as quickly as you can. And it used to be the case, and I don't know anymore, but a lot of times you can double your numbers with the second campaign, especially when it was very humble, a humble campaign to begin with. So the thing is, you're building something as well. So like even the Hollywood story is the first sell that you make to Hollywood is at a loss. Like you're not going to make a bunch of money, but the second project you sell to Hollywood, then you have more to leverage. You have more to negotiate with. You've proven yourself, and then you can get more money out of it. So that's kind of the way these things go. So some people think like people like me or Graham Nolan or Ethan Van Sciver have a leg up on like people coming into this crowdfund. And maybe in some ways we do, but in some ways we don't, because it's still a completely different beast. Like I have 40 years invested, but I don't have any skill set in what I'm doing right now. You know what I mean? Like there's nothing I did up to this point that even resembles what I'm doing now. The buck stops here completely. I don't have a DC or Marvel marketing, company behind me or unit behind me and all these other things. So there's always going to be these obstacles. But man, I think you're great. You're great. Your YouTube is fantastic. The project looks great. It's not like you just kind of just stumbled into this and don't really have a concept or an idea of where this thing's going to go. I mean, you have a universe that you've created,
like,
and it's just a matter of time.
As soon as I had the idea for Krishna Kid, I knew, oh, this is the one. Like, this is the one that I can write for my entire adult life, and that there's enough exciting material that I'm excited about, that I will enjoy to continue to write this forever. Like, it will never become a chore, and that's the dream in it.
And it should never be that, because I used to think when editors would give me a hard time at DC or Marvel, and I would just turn to them, I'd say, why are you making this so hard? Why are you taking the fun out of it? And they're like, what do you mean? I go, you're making a lot of drama where there doesn't have to be. I know how easy this can work. You just have to trust me that I can do what I say I can do and just get the hell out of the way, basically. And they didn't like me talking that way. But then I would say, listen, I could make a shit ton more money doing advertising work. I said, but it's soulless and there's no fun in it. And if you continue to be like this, you're going to take the fun out of the industry. At least you're going to take the fun out of our working, relationship. If working on Hawkman, Savage Hawkman with Rob Liefeld and Mark Polton, and Joe Bennett isn't fun, then it's time to get out. It's time to go into advertising. And if I'm going to have no fun and just do soulless work, then I'll make more money doing it. There's no reason to be here. So I know that it is a business and that we do have to take it seriously, but there does have to be a certain level of fun involved, because the fun does reflect on the project. It's the enthusiasm you bring to it. And you definitely have that with Krishna Kid. So
yeah, I'm the main reason that this book is going to exist is because I want to read it. Like, I've always for many years, I've looked for Krishna books that would tell the story the way that I'm going to tell it, and nobody has done that. Like, so it's up to me. Like, I'm gonna
indeed, let's look at the video, and then I'll what's that?
I was going to say, this is for the add-on book. This is rather than Krishna Kid.
Oh, okay.
Eyes on Princess Gandhari, such a sweet and innocent little girl. I had no idea what destiny had planned for her, and neither did she.
Sweet. That was a little scary, man. You still there?
Yeah, thank you. You are the second comic book pro to like squeal out loud at that moment in the trailer. So
the setup is so good. You just got a few backers, my friend, during this live stream, so that's awesome.
Oh, that's
You're
great.
6,342. You got 152 backers. So thanks to everybody that's supporting this. Do you have a parting shot as far as the campaign?
Not really. Just please go and back it. Like, it's really important. Like, we only have 20 days left. Like I was saying, every single backer just brings more confidence, not only to me, because I don't know if you imagine your book sells copies every day, but like you have 2 days where you haven't sold a book and you're like, oh, my life's over. It's ruined. So Yeah.
Well, when you're doing the live campaigns, mine's been in in demand for a while, so it's a little different. But I know what you're talking about, especially when it's crucial, like it is now. The early days of crowdfunding was more like that. Now that go ahead.
As you say, it's crazy that this book. So my two previous books were both open for a year. They did the 60 days and were in demand for a year. Krishna Kid beat both of them within like 3 weeks or something. So it's by far my most successful campaign ever. But because of the funding goal, it's like, oh, it might be a failure. Like it's a weird situation to be in. Like there's, by far the most successful, but it still might not come off.
Yeah, well, you got a lot of support here in the chat. A lot of other CG creators that are heaping praise on you and the book. So I'm sure we'll get that to the minimum and then some. And so how close to fulfilling? And the only reason I ask is because it could, while you're fulfilling, if the campaign's still open, it will bring new people in as well.
That's something that I baked into the model of this campaign. So the first book in the series, the Duryodhana Purana, is finished already. Like, so these will be able to ship like near immediately, like once the campaign closes. Then the 3 issues that make the Eye of Brahma Saga, as each one is finished, like I'll be fulfilling those as like 30-page floppies. So that people will see them on Twitter, and we'll get those photos of them arriving in people's houses, like, and it will continue to build, like, we'll sell more and more in demand. Like, I'm confident of that. Every book that I've had, like, we've been able to show, that when it's done and out there in the world, you sell more and more of them, because there are people who are like, I only books that are in demand now. Like, there is a segment of the audience that's like that. So
well, there are some people that have been burned too. I've been burned on a couple campaigns. So for some people there is proof in the pudding. So you start putting out the project, then people are like more confident in backing because they know that they're going to get it. Also, everybody that gets their book from Mark, make sure you put it up on your social media, because it does kind of help fuel the fire and get people interested in coming in and backing a book in demand. So
like when I was saying about the target is for an acceptable loss, that's an amount that I'm confident could be covered during the in-demand period. Like, but I can't afford to take like a bigger hit than this, like, and then balance that with the pressure of where's my Krishna book or whatever. Like,
right. Yeah, and like just a quick aside, like when I was working on Marvel DC after the 94 boom hit and then crash, I had to walk away from black and white, which was everything to me. So I had to go back to the mainstream. But every night after that, I would put 2 hours in trying to continue telling the tale, to developing the storylines, and 25 years later, here I am, putting out, Black and White Man versus Machine. So that's like sweat equity. That was years that I never really got paid for, but now, I'm here. And so now it is generating some money. So there is always that sweat equity that has to go into something. And the thing is, when you have a dream, when you have something that's in your head, it's not tangible, and it's hard to impress upon people these things because they're not tangible. So you have to start kind of generating realistic things. Like a book is tangible, like these things then become tangible. And then it's always like, it's like fantasy, then reality, right? So when you're developing this stuff, it's just pie in the sky. It's all in your head. But then to try to tell somebody these things like, oh yeah, it's going to be amazing. They're like, Sure. You know what I mean? And then they get the book and then they realize, well, not only did I get the actual book, they read it and they enjoy it. You know what I mean? And then that's you're proving, and then it builds. And I don't even, it's like some people look at these things like, oh, well, this is horrible. This is just the way things are. This is just the way people are. This is any dream, anything that you want to do that's outside the norm is always going to be like this. And some people go, well, no one supports it. No one does. No one even understands it. Like you understand it, but no one else does.
Yeah.
So you have to win everybody over. You have to go, no, this is Krishna Kid. This is going to be amazing. Here's the book.
What you are saying is doubly important when that you're someone like me who constantly is saying, okay, I understand this is how things are supposed to be, but trust me, I've got this idea to do it completely different against all the rules, and it's going to be great. Like, it's very easy. I've seen it a lot where people will see what I'm putting out, not necessarily in Krishna Kid, but in everything, and be like, are you sure that even works? Like, as an idea. And it's like, it will work. Just like wait until you see like the fruits of it or whatever.
Yeah. Or just, save up for that killer trade that I'm going to put and package, the whole saga together. It's going to cost you $100 to get that book. And then, proofs of the pudding. The thing is like, you never know. You never know. I'm a Walt Disney fan. I'm not a Disney fan contemporarily, but that guy was kick ass. And there was a steamboat for Disneyland, and he needed that steamboat. Right. But the bank said you get no more money. They were broke. They put everything into this. And so then he turned to his wife and he said, we need the steamboat. It's the only way this Frontierland or whatever is gonna pop. It's gonna make this park, right? It's gonna be iconic. And so then she said, okay. They put up everything. Their home, their family home, they put everything into this stupid ass steamboat, right? And so then they put it in the park. Freaking iconic, this big white steamboat that goes around the frontier, this river, it's still there to this day. To this day, 50 years later or whatever it's been. You know what I mean? Like this is like investing in these dreams. Like he didn't have anybody believing in this, right? Nobody else was like, we're not going to give you money for this. And he just said, well, fuck that. I'm putting my own money into this because I believe in it. And so early on, this is how these things work. You know what I mean? Like you see some successes and it seems easy, but you don't realize that they probably have already paid their dues, or dues that you've never seen even being paid. So the difference between somebody like me maybe and somebody like you is we get to see your dues played out, on YouTube and stuff like that. But
when we started the whole CGUK thing, like there was a lot of people, like 15, 20 people or whatever. And I was telling them all on day one, I was saying, this game is going to be about stamina. Like you just have to show up constantly. Like you can't give up. Like sometimes it's going to be hard, your legs are going to be heavy or whatever, but you still got to keep showing up and keep on running in it. Like and now here we are, like 3 years later or whatever. A lot of people have dropped away. Not everyone can keep up. But yeah,
we can.
You're totally right. You just
the strong will survive. Yeah. You know what, Mark? I go to conventions and young aspiring artists and stuff would ask me like, what's the key? What's the key? How, and I said the same thing as you. I said, no doesn't enter into the vocabulary. Doesn't enter into the vocabulary. It's about perseverance. It's about doing repetition. It's about not getting down on yourself and just continue believing in what you're doing and continue every day working towards that. And the thing is, that's why it's essential to have fun. Back what we were talking about earlier, because I would put pitches together for Hollywood, and I had a partner, and we'd go on these pitches, and he was getting down on himself, and I said, what are you talking about? I said, we just took an hour of that executive at Cartoon Network's time, right? He took an hour out of his schedule to meet with us on this pitch. I said, we've already won. You know what I mean? Like, to me, that was already winning. We got to this point, and if it goes any further, fine. But you know what? All we have is this moment in time. If you don't enjoy this process, if you don't enjoy going and wasting an executive's time, you know what I mean, at this major network, then that's all you have. So I found pleasure in it. And so I just framed it up into a place where I got a kick out of it, right? So I'd go there and I'd just go, well, you know what? Maybe we didn't sell the project, but you know what? That guy just took an hour out of his day to spend with us. And I'd always be appreciative and I'd always be respectful, even though a lot of times it was an hour of telling me how it wouldn't work. You know, like some of these guys will just tell you for an hour, like, this won't work, this won't work, this won't work, this is not what we're looking for, and all those other things. It's soul crushing, but you know, as long as I had that one piece.
I mean, even just walking past Cartoon Network Studios or whatever, I'd get excited, like, at that, and it, like, so any excuse to go in there, even if they tell you to do one, like, still fun day out, isn't it?
Yeah, and every day we get to tell a story. Every day you get to write a bit of dialogue for the Krishna Kid, or come up with a new plot line or whatever. Like today, I'm creating new robots for the end game aspect of Black and White, and I'm looking forward to it. It's just going to be a fun day. You know, I can't wait to put pencil to paper and let my imagination fly. So this is a great time. I'm really, I try to tell people like you as well. I know it's really tough, but this is once in a lifetime, Mark. Like I had the Image Comics thing happen for me, so I had a little taste of it, but it never went away. My heart is independent. It was never with Marvel. It was never with mainstream. I liked those comics as a kid, but as an adult, you know, I wanted to tell my stories. You know, I didn't necessarily want to tell Batman stories or Spider-Man stories. And so, you know, I feel like I've went my whole career to get to this point. So I don't, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. I recognize that because of all the years I put in. So just know that for you, it's like, you're going to sustain this. You're going to look back, you know, and you're going to go, wow, you know, CG, having this dream, being able to independently tell stories that I wanted to tell, and having people support that. It's just amazing, because there were years, many years, that I was still working independently, not putting anything out. Like I said, just working on my own every night, with the hopes that there would be a market that could sustain it, you know, that I could actually make a living putting these books out. And so now we're actually in a place that we can do that. We have to hustle our ass off. We have to work, but we can do that. And this is a pretty amazing time in comic books.
Yeah, people don't necessarily consider the 30 years it took you to become an overnight success, and it, like,
Yeah.
It just looks like that.
It takes a little bit of time, yeah, and to establish yourself. I'm going to take this the super chat, and then we're gonna wind down. So thank you so much, David G, for the 199 super chat. He is backer 182. He just backed. Let me see what your total is. Let's do this real quick, since he said he just backed.
John Malin's here as well. He says he's backed it as well. So thank you very much for that.
Sweet. Let's hit refresh and see if this changed. 152 backers. You got 154. You got 2 backers, you son of a bitch.
We rolled past the 69%, which is I enjoyed being in the 69 position for a little while, but like, it's nice to be.
But you know, you gotta you know, get a little variety in there too. You know. Well, I think you got about 4 or 5 backers during this live stream. So thanks everybody for their support. Do appreciate it. The book looks fantastic. The concept's incredible. Don't lose faith, brother. And everybody in the chat, thanks for hanging out with us. And go CG. Take care, man.